This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Welcome to Lights, Camera, Reels. Some opinions in this podcast may piss people off and hurt feelings. Viewer discretion advised.
And we're back
Yes, we are.
yet again for another episode and another review. And this one is going to be about Uncontained. It's a movie on Screambox, which was fantastic.
Absolutely. One of the best independent movies for the year.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. So let's jump right into this and get our thoughts out there for this. The movie itself, knowing everything about it, and we talked to the director earlier on this show as well, that the movie is very small budget. It's based pretty much in his hometown, and what it kind of is like, it's a apocalyptic style movie. It's about pretty much zombies that you don't see you don't see them all the time through the movie, but they're there. And small children in it. It's children are like main characters in the movie. There's a it is just a basically a wild movie from start to finish. It doesn't start out slow. It starts out very on pace. It's not a slow start, it's not a fast start, but it's on a good pace start movie. To start laying in the snow, completely nothing on, laying in the snow, and where it is bitter cold out, I could not do that scene. There's no way I could do that. I would freeze to death.
I like to call this movie a combination or a merger between like The Last of Us and The Walking Dead, because you get the small town, off the grid, apocalyptic scenario where it's done on a smaller scale, where the situation is personalized to specifically one family. And unlike any of the other apocalyptic movies that I've seen, the way that the zombies are done, it doesn't focus on the gore or the undead-esque look of the zombies.
Yeah. It definitely does give you that little like vibe of The Walking Dead, and then you mix in The Last of Us, that there's only a select few that are pretty much like there. It's not based on like Walking Dead was huge amount of people at first, and then it kind of went down to this small group. Where in The Last of Us, it's a small group, then goes to a big group, now back to a small group. This movie is kind of small group the entire time, based on like the town itself is the town that is being infected with this disease.
So, for those of you who want more of a background of the movie itself, Morley Nelson, he filmed this, directed it, wrote it, and he he did this all during COVID.
Yeah, it's
And
uh, very small time during COVID that he was able to get the people that were in the movie able to do this because of the restrictions and everything across the times. Is that they had times that they just recorded at night, and it was just the set of people that he could have near him, and then there was times where he could have other people around him. So pretty much doing this in backyard of his hometown.
well, it was actually done at his house.
Yeah.
He just it was very well filmed. The angles for it are very they're done very tactfully. They're
Mm-hmm.
done in a way where you can imagine that there's all this space in between the foreground and the background. And the reality of it is that there's really not that much, but it's built with the angles to give that illusion. So the camera shots themselves are done fantastically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost thought when I was first watching this movie, and I've watched it quite a few times. Um, but the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, this is a under budget movie. I don't I don't see that at all with the camera angles at all. It looks like a Hollywood style camera angles movie. The angles and everything looks so great. That's why it's like I couldn't pass up on this movie when I heard about it. I said, "Okay, I'm gonna watch it." So I watched it, and I was like, "Okay, this movie is fantastic." Where did it not get a theater run? I have no clue. Should have got somewhat of a theater run, maybe a small one, maybe not like 3 weeks worth of a theater run, but it should have got something.
The fact that this movie beat out Terrifier movies
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
for weeks speaks volumes about how well done this movie was.
Mm-hmm.
The pacing was phenomenal, the acting on all levels, not
Oh
just
yeah, not just the main characters and everything. Everybody was great in it. I didn't see
absolutely.
anything wrong with anybody's acting at all. And the way the way it starts, the way it ends, the start, the middle, the ending is all fantastic. There's nothing that I would put down on this movie at all.
So, prior to watching this movie, what were you going into it hoping for?
When I first heard the name Uncontained, I was expecting um like a it's like Uncontained. You're thinking maybe I wasn't thinking horror. Well, I mean, I kind of was, but not like super horror. I was thinking maybe like something coming out trying to like attack people, like a huge like animal or person that has mutated himself into a like maybe like a hawk style coming out.
Okay.
Because it's uncontained, that's what you're thinking. You're unable to contain him or contain this person. You're not thinking of a virus. And then when you start watching the movie, and then you could just tell it's not that kind of style movie. And then it's like, as the movie's going on, you find out that, oh, okay, it's an uncontained virus, which a lot of people thought that like when COVID was around, that was an uncontained virus. Nobody could contain it. Everybody got it. Millions of people got it. Things like that. This is pretty much how that was. It was a virus that went around and just came to life.
Okay. I feel like so I walked into it with no expectations,
Hmm.
and I was entranced by this movie.
Yeah,
Like I could not take my eyes off the screen because of how good this movie was.
yeah. That was the the phone, somebody may have texted me, or the phone was going off, and it was like I just kind of pushed the phone off to the side because it
Mm-hmm.
was like I'm not even bothering with it because even that second of taking your eyes off the screen, you could miss something,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, yeah, no, we're not missing anything of this movie. That's why it was like for me, it was just a quiet day, and I was watching the movie. It's like you're at the theater. You're not gonna touch your phone or nothing. It was like one of those phone can go off all day long. I'm not paying attention to it.
And I feel like the plot itself had a couple different twists that
Oh
were
yeah.
thrown into it, but they were done so tastefully that you weren't prepared for the movie to have those twists. Two, there's a couple of the twists that create these aha moments where when you go back and you think over the earlier moments within the movie,
Hmm.
you're like, "Oh, wow, that makes so much sense now."
Now, yeah.
And it brings it to this place where you're like, this could legitimately happen.
Oh yeah.
There
This definitely could.
there's a lot of apocalyptic um movies out there where you're just like, I don't know. This kind of seems far fetched. But the fact that this was based off of a concept of if something were to happen, how do we create this safe haven for X, Y, and Z? Not just to escape, but also to kind of create this world of your own in a
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
And
It was
then,
very. It was very like when the movie started, and you get the first opening scene of him being in the snow and everything, and then he comes up, and then you get the scene of the family or the kids being at home without their mom being there or dad being there. Then it was like, okay, that's kids are taking care of their home front. So then at first I thought at first is okay, that's the dad. That's he hid himself away from whatever's going on. And then the next, like in the next couple scenes, you get this wild transfer from him going through the woods and he's attacking these zombies through, well, I don't want to say it was zombies per se, but infected. Um, he was attacking them to try to get to wherever he's going. And you're thinking, okay, he's trying to get back home.
mm-hmm,
Then he goes, then nighttime comes, he goes to sleep, he gets up. You're not thinking, there's not like a whole lot going on besides he's still trying to get wherever he's going, back to the house or back to, or wherever he's going.
right. Not once do you ever think that there's more going on with him than what there truly is.
Yeah, there's no blank to it. Like you're not just, oh, you don't know what he's doing. No, you think he's going back to the house or he's trying to go somewhere. You don't know where he's going. So you, because he keeps going back and forth between the house and him, the house and him. Meanwhile, the kids are in this home that these people are trying to um stay with them. These random like looters are trying to stay with them because they have power. They have stuff that other people don't have, so they want to stay with them and take
Which
care of them.
I think that that's what sets the tone with the kids because once they overhear that conversation, it kind of changes the respect aspect that the children are. I mean, the children from the start were already hesitant of these people to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Yep.
just kind of nails it home and creates this tentative something could happen,
Mm-hmm.
but you're
Yep.
not quite sure what's going to happen.
Yeah. It definitely gave you that. Yeah, you didn't know if they were gonna like kidnap the family or they're just gonna take over their house and like trap them there with them or like anything. So it's like you don't know if they're technically the um I don't want to say bad people, but you don't know if they were the villain in this movie. And then those two go away. They disappear, but you don't know how they disappear. You just know that they are gone.
Right, and I think I mean, I personally, when you think of the horror genre, I don't quite think that this fits into horror the way that people think that it is horror.
Yeah, it's not that kind of horror.
But I would definitely give it that it is a thriller movie. It
Hmm.
does make you think. It does have some horror-esque components leading it to fall into that genre. However, if you go into it thinking that you're going to have these epic kills that a lot of horror movies nowadays have,
Yeah.
it it's going to be a shock to your system.
Yeah, because you don't really see, besides them killing the infected, you don't see it like, oh, it's a constant, these slasher beatdown, gunshots, things like that. There's not
Mhm.
really a whole lot of that going on in this movie. This movie is a thriller style horror. It's not just a horror movie.
And it's not super action packed.
No. It's like it's got enough action in it and it's got enough horror in it to be more of a thriller style horror
Right.
than because this could really happen. Everybody thinks that this can't, but this could really happen. One day there could be a virus out there that makes people lose their entire mind and think that they're dead. It's a
Well,
possibility.
I don't want to give away too much of the movie
Yeah.
because the the big the big plot twist for me was when things came to surface towards the end.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. The big twist.
but I feel that the way that the infected were done in this movie have become one of my favorite portrayals of zombie-esque populations
Hmm.
across any type of media for me.
Yeah.
Video games, movies, TV series. I feel like the way that they were done here makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And the way the movie pops off with this twist and kind of unfolds into the ending
Hmm.
leaves so much room for this movie to have a secondary movie to follow up. And there's so many directions that this
Oh,
movie could go in.
oh yeah, yeah. The next one could, if there is a sequel, in which it should have a sequel on its own. Um, that there will be so many different directions. Even the way it ends, there it just watch the ending. Don't when you see the credits, don't go away. There is a extra scene at the end.
Hmm.
That pretty much could go. It could go that way, or it could go totally different way.
There are many characters that the storyline could follow.
Hmm.
And one of my curiosities is that given the twist affecting multiple characters,
Yeah.
um which which way would you prefer it to go? Would you rather follow the main characters that you have kind of throughout start to finish. The lone traveler,
I think the lone traveler. I think I would want to go if it was me. I would think I would want to go by the lone traveler because then you wherever he is trying to get to, you will find that. Finally, that place that he is trying to get to do whatever he is meant to do. That I think that would be, or maybe even like a I would say maybe even back and forwards between the two, the lone traveler and the main, going back and forwards between them. But that
you
would be
don't think that would
even.
be too much?
I think it would be because it would be back and forwards. The story wouldn't make sense unless they meet somewhere.
I wouldn't mind seeing a flash to a larger city.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not quite like a city the size of New York or LA or Miami or anything like that,
Mm,
but maybe see how this type of infection is integrated into maybe starting in a small town.
yeah.
How is the town preparing for this type of situation? Is it more so like they have this
Would,
fortress that they've built similar to The Walking Dead
yeah. Would,
or The Last of Us, or
yeah.
the typical post apocalyptic setup?
Yeah.
Or is it kind of quid pro quo because they're off the beaten path?
Yeah. Would you prefer a prequel or a sequel?
Ooh, I think as it sits right now, I would prefer a sequel over a prequel because I feel like a prequel would give us more of Resident Evil vibes,
Mm-hmm.
whereas a sequel gives us more of a insight as to how the world is adapting to this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Is this pandemic relatable to our most recent COVID pandemic where things completely shut down? Or is it more relatable to like the Black Plague? Or is there somewhere in between, something less, something more? Like
I'm
there's a
thinking
lot
more
of different
between. In
there's a lot of
between.
different things that you could do there.
Yeah. I'm thinking like more in between because like in the movie, um, there's still like some communication still going on to like a big town, to like a medical center, hospital, something like that, because you do hear chatters of that going throughout the movie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that the medical center is being there's a lot of people there. So that's kind of like that is going on, but not like a lot.
Right.
So, but you hear the chatters, but that's about all you get of that. Um, but it could be like there still seems like there's some form of there's still a little bit outside going on. Um, Now getting to that point, like into the next movie, going to maybe you have the lone traveler get to the hospital, or the main characters get to that point, to the hospital, and then you could see what is actually going on.
So I'm actually curious on how this twist would impact the studies done by not just scientists, but also, you know how like they typically have to check you if you're coming into a civilization from the outside
Yeah,
world.
yeah. How would they
I'd be
know?
curious on how somebody could potentially be infected but not always seen. Like,
It's
is it
just like
always
the
transmissioning through a bite or a scratch?
mhm. It's just like the I Am Legend when they're going into the gate and they test you and you come
Hmm.
up positive or not. Green means you're good, red means you're infected. But you had somebody come up in that style. Yeah, if there was something like that going on, how would you know if this
But
person
again,
has it, don't have it?
right now the closest town is, I believe it's 40 miles away
Yeah, that's what I think
or
he was
something similar
said
to
into in the movie. Yeah,
that length. Um, so it's like, would a small town like that have that type of technology on hand?
and that's where I don't think maybe not. That's why it's like very caught. Maybe they're really cautious about how they allow people in. It was more like if like in the in I Am Legend, it's military doing that,
Hmm.
checking people. Where in this, who knows if the military is even involved in it yet?
Well, you know that the government is involved in one
Yeah,
way or another.
but you don't know if it's like that big of a. Is it a widespread? The government's involved because they may know about that little spot,
Right.
but they may not know at all.
Hmm. I don't know. There could be, I mean, there's just so many ways. And it's not even one of those movies where it's like you have a plot hole. It's just that the movie was done so well that it makes you think about all of these different directions it could go.
Yeah,
Because I feel like all of the questions that I had at the beginning of the movie or even towards the middle of the movie, by the end they were resolved.
yeah.
And then the only other questions I have are those cliffhangers that the movie leaves you on purpose.
Yeah. That is it's wild because it's like the cliffhanger, the way it's ending, the way it ends is there is somewhat of a cliffhanger.
Somewhat.
Um no, I
There's
mean
so many
there's
cliffhangers.
a huge cliffhanger. I mean there could be more cliffhangers than we know at the ending cuz you're as you're sitting there and you're watching the ending, the cliffhanger happens. That the first cliffhanger. But then you see the secret scene.
Well, I
Then
can think of just off the top of my head, I can think of 3 cliffhangers that could cause a secondary or a follow-up movie to go 3 different ways.
yeah, I could see it even going maybe even 4 because there's I mean
Okay.
there's a lot of things that could happen.
But okay, so what are you thinking on a scale of 1 to 10?
9.5.
Okay, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, 9.5. I could even give it a 10. It's not that far off. They're giving it a perfect score would be that is perfect. Um there is nothing wrong with the movie, but there's nothing there's nothing wrong with the movie. The movie's fantastic. Perfect score. I can even give it a perfect score. But
I give it a 9.8
yeah.
because I
So
feel like there's always something, and I may not be able to put my fingers on it, but there's always something.
yeah, and you could watch this movie 10 times over, and I've watched it quite a few different times, that you notice something little each time that could make it better or make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always been, it could, there's things that could just make this movie, there's nothing that I can see that won't make it better.
But the thing is that I don't feel like it needs anything to be better.
No. You're
Like I feel
able
like
to,
if if
your
you added
mind's able to wander with this movie
yes,
a
it
lot.
does make you think.
Yes.
And as it connects certain dots throughout the movie, it gives you those aha moments. But I feel like if you tried to add more to it, it would take away from that and possibly hurt the movie more than help it.
Yeah, and that's where I think if you take things away, or you downsize, let's say you downsize the plot, then you could lose the purpose of the movie. Because if you downsize the plot, and let's say, okay, the twist doesn't happen, nobody ever knows the twist, then there's, if the twist happens and you don't know it, then would there be a central? Would you think about another one, or would you just be like, oh, right, nothing changed. There's nothing big in this movie. But the fact that there's that twist in the movie, it's like, okay, now what could it be?
Yeah.
What could you do?
Oh,
And
the possibilities.
the possibilities, and not if you, and let's say he didn't do the twist, and let's say, oh, that twist never happens in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
then does your mind wander of, is there possibly something else going on?
I feel like your mind could possibly wander and think that it feels unfinished.
Mm-hmm. Then you would want that second one.
I mean, I want the second one either way. But I feel like a second one isn't needed. I mean, there's so many cliffhangers like we talked about, but this movie by itself as a standalone movie is phenomenal. There are so many ways that you could follow it up with an equally or better movie. However, a secondary movie, I feel, can't hurt this first movie because of how well this first movie was composed.
Yep. I am just, I just can't wait if there is a second one. I can't wait. There's got to be a second one coming. Just a matter of when.
I think we'll see one in due time.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got here too. Until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening to Lights, Camera, Reels. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe.